It's inauguration day, ladies and gentlemen, and by the time you hear this rant, President 47 will already be inaugurated as the new leader of the free world. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a pivotal moment in history as Donald Trump, for the first time this century and in a very long time, will reassume the position as president of the United States. President number 47, as I like to say. And one of the cool things about this is that Donald Trump is about to do something that other presidents have been too scared to do. Shake it up, baby. That's what's going to happen in Washington. And he has 2 years to do so. And today's rant, folks, we're going to focus in on out with the old and in with the newish. Welcome back, everybody. I'm David Solomon. He is Stuart Brisgell. We are the Rant Network. This duo loves to talk about all kinds of stuff that's unedited, uncensored, unafraid, and certainly, as you can see at the bottom here, unapologetic. It's all about the different news, pop culture, politics, so much more. This platform is for you, for us, to express opinions, thoughts, experiences, ideas, and then kind of way to make you kind of go, because we're just honest, brutally honest, and often very direct. And a lot of people might say, that's too much, but really, it's what we want to hear today in society. So sit back as we go through the inauguration, or at least what we believe will be the start of the Trump administration. So, Stuart, I'm watching this from Canada from the perspective of a Canadian, and we do this a lot where we ping pong this ball. How I'll tell you on this side of the border, as we're going through our leadership changes, the wonders of what will President Trump be like in term 2. But what is the American feeling right now, Stu?
Well, it's been a really long time since American, I guess, superiority complex is setting back in. I think it starts with energy independence, followed by secured borders, whether the northern or southern. I think unifying our domestic partners, which is you in Canada and Mexico, and putting things straight. When you let teenagers run amok, they kind of get used to some terrible things and terrible ideas. And no different, the way Donald Trump's antics, by Governor Gretzky and little Miss Justin Trudeau, it's antics. But, with these antics come a very serious tone. You cannot kick the can down the road any further. Ronald Reagan's line was, independence and freedom is a generation away from being lost forever. And the United States has had 4 years of recognized insanity. And it continues in California with the tragedies with all the fires and the tens of thousands of people now displaced and probably 30 to 40 years of rebuilding LA. Wow. Is this as a result of the Republicans? No, they can't blame any Republicans. Is it as a result of the Democrats? Well, little Gooey Newsom just can't seem to take any fault. But those days are over. The pulpit is now being filled by a man who's unafraid. And, I would say the outgoing government is so afraid, they are constantly now trying to pre-pardon just in case. Here's a get-out-of-free-jail card for Cheney, Fauci, Nelly. Heck, you know what? Let's just pardon the entire DNC lovers. It's insane. Why in the world would the outgoing president with less than 4 hours to go consider this as a good for our country type of thing? I don't think it's retribution. The Democrats did everything they possibly could. They cooed a government. What do you mean by cooed? Well, do you think Biden wanted to leave office? Hell no. He didn't want to pass the baton. He was taken out by Nancy Pelosi. Really was. It's sad. But Donald Trump's coming in, and hopefully he's going to do exactly like he said. My victory is enough to show that you were all wrong. I don't think he's into retribution. I think those threats are all to keep everyone on edge. I think his first day in office will have hundreds of executive orders. And these executive orders are really just going to be, let's go back to the policies that made sense in America long before Biden was in power. You know, Biden's run to power really goes on for 40 years, almost 50, actually. People forget in the 1988 election where he was running for the DNC how he plagiarized an entire speech. His swan song is literally no different. Just another way to find an excuse to try and build another legacy, which wasn't real. Donald Trump is going to bring a new dawn back to America. And David, I'm excited to see what the next few hours have to bring. Because you know what? The Houthis are still attacking the Israelis in the open sea. I don't believe the armistice deal is going to end positively. And now we get to see how real Donald Trump is on ending the war in Israel, ending the war in the Ukraine, and bringing normalcy to the world. David?
You know, Stuart, you were focused a lot on Biden on this rant, and this is where everybody is kind of like, this is why millions of Americans said, we're done. The DNC learned nothing. It's clear that what people wanted was change. So what is Donald Trump going to do? Well, Stuart, there's allegedly reported 200 executive orders are going to be signed today. 200. That's a lot of signatures for Donald Trump. But a lot of it is going to do with what? Immigration. There's worries about tariffs that he's going to slap. I don't believe the 25% is going through. I think that he will do something, but it will not be 25%. And it's like you said, there's a lot of bluster negotiation in what Donald Trump does. And that's what we're going to see. We'll see what ends up happening over there. But there's another aspect, Stuart, that people are also not understanding, is that he brought in Doge. And Doge was one of those things, was to try to create all that honesty in government. Because what happened, what went wrong in his first term, Stuart, is that he walked in there without his right team and he disrupted Washington. Washington was pissed at him. Washington was angry at him. And that's why all these people wrote books about what kind of nutcase he is. And they distorted certain things about Donald Trump because Trump wanted efficiency. He was tired of the same old, same old. And yet here he is. He's got 2 years to put really into effect those changes that he needs, because who knows what it's going to be like in 2 years when Congress and Senate go up for re-election. And so he has 2 years in which to do a lot of cleanup. Now, the left is going to want to tell you this is all about billionaires, because you got Vivek Ramaswamy, you've got Elon Musk there. It's all about billionaires. Even here in Canada, as we're going through an election, it's about Trump and his billionaires. This is what they're trying to do, is they're trying to pit Donald Trump as favoring billionaires. But here's one of the legislations he wants to pass, Stuart, is not taxing tips. And I don't know how many billionaires, other than getting stock tips, I don't know how many billionaires get a tip, a financial tip in a restaurant, in a hotel, or whatever. And Donald wants to change that policy and try to put more money in people's pockets. And that's a bad thing. I don't understand that. He wants to, he wants to deal with crime. He wants to deal with immigration. He wants to deal with, a whole bunch of things. They're already ripping Tom Homan, who tomorrow supposedly is starting mass deportations of illegal immigrants.
No,
and today. Okay, whatever.
Today.
And yet you've got these sanctuary cities saying, absolutely not. Thou shalt not enter my country, my fiefdom. And it's an amazing thing to see that Donald Trump wants to put into place things that is not popular. Listen, change isn't popular. People hate change. But You know what? What we've seen over the last 4 years is old Washington is broken. We've seen it with decisions. We've seen it with money spending. Like, I'm not sure. Inflation went through the roof. And what does Joe Biden say on the way out? I took care of the economy. I was one of the best presidents ever. Now, what you talked about, the pardons today, and in what you did today, is that this is part of what Donald Trump was trying to do. By going after Dr. Anthony Fauci and General Mark Milley, the idea was to do an investigation to find out where's the corruption, where is the smoke, where's the fire, and what does Joe Biden do? He scorches the earth on Donald Trump so that they can't track the
Ah,
corruption.
but you know what, David? There's an angle. You know what the angle is? If the incoming office really wants, they can remove the medical license of Anthony Fauci. It's not a criminal charge. It's a moral charge.
Okay, but
And
that
they can, hang on. Do you know what they can do to the Mark Milley, the general? They can dishonorably discharge him from the U.S. military for not, they don't have to criminally charge anyone. And as far as Liz Cheney, they can disgrace Liz Cheney as well. It isn't difficult. She is a moron. And if it wasn't for her father born before, who got shot in the ass by his president.
Listen, you know what? I got to tell you something, okay? I don't want to get into Liz Cheney. I am not interested in Liz Cheney. I'm interested in where Donald Trump. Because I'll tell you what. Because you know what? What's interesting to see is how many people want to be at that inauguration. Unfortunately, it's going to be brought inside due to the inclement weather. It's freezing, and
there's some.
Okay, well, forget about other. Forget about Stuart. The point I'm trying to get at is that Canadians were driving down to Washington because they wanted to see the new president. You've got people around the world excited about this president coming back. Look, the United States should not be the world's police officer. I get it. It's really sucky. You know, once upon a time, you had other people who, other countries who participated. But now it's on the shoulders of the United States. But with power brings peace and stability. And the United States, with the lack of power, as we've spoken about last week, has brought instability. You brought up what's going on with Israel. Yes, 3 girls were released, and thank God they were released on Sunday. And it's scary to believe that Israel had to hold on.
But with those 3 girls that were released, David, you know what was not in the press was the fact that all 3 were raped, the fact that one of them lost her 2 middle fingers because they cut them off. Mm-hmm. They did not even mention a thing. They talked about, just so you know, how the Palestinian men that were in jail and women were tortured. I'm sorry, David. I told you my feelings about this.
You're once again, Stuart.
I am hopeful that this incoming president does what he needs to do to bring peace to stability to the world.
I understand your anger and your whatever, your vitriol. I get it, all that. But we're here talking about, the problem is this. This deal on the table is there because of stuff that Trump has put on place. Joe Biden can take a victory lap and say, this was my deal, and run around like a little child and go, this was me, and back in May, and I really don't care, okay? Because you did have the intestinal fortitude to do what's right to force Hamas to the table.
Don't go in here, don't go in there. Well, what an asshole.
Like to me,
don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, Biden. That's what I have to say. But you know what, David? This is Trump's hour. And you know what? It's America's first chance to prove that there is normalcy can be restored in one presidency.
Listen, Stuart, I'm going to tell you what I'm want to see right now, and let's see if Donald Trump does do what he promises. Because as Romy Gonen, Doron Steinbrecher, and Emily Damari are the first 3 to be released as part of 33 hostage releases, and there's phase 1. Let's see if Hamas, more likely when Hamas breaks this deal, how will Donald Trump respond? Will he bomb them like he promised them, like he would bring, rains of fire? You asked about Ukraine. What's he going to do with Zelensky, who we didn't get along? Better yet, what's he going to do with the new prime minister with Canada? What is he going to do with Mexico? Sheinbaum in Mexico is there for the next 5 some years. We'll have a new prime minister in Canada. If it's a conservative, great. But we're going to have a liberal prime minister until the election. Look, we're right now going to see some real interesting bumps and along the way. But the good thing is, overall, he's scaring a lot of people today.
Yes.
Because change is about to happen, and it's not about lacing, billionaire pockets. It's about restoring some order in this crazy world. To think that Anthony Fauci has to be, pardoned in advance because just shows you the degree of insanity and protectionism. And Stuart, I'll go one step further because you only talked about those 2. Well, to me, the bigger thing that upsets me is that there's talk about, how you can't forgive a single person from January 6th. But Hunter Biden, who we said he wouldn't forgive, has gotten a pardon. An anarchist and George Soros gets the Medal of Honor. And this is the kind of presidency this is the kind of mess that Donald Trump has to clean up on January 20th, 2025. This is day one, ladies and gentlemen, of a very big cleanup. Stuart, my friend, last word to you.
Last word is God bless the United States of America and all of its friends and allies around the world. Today's a dawn where the bad people are now on notice, and that affects you in Canada and all those in Mexico and every Western country in member and non-member of NATO. I think the world now has an adult in the room who isn't going to put up with anyone's shit. And you know what, David? I'm looking forward for there being a new ushered in peace for everyone.
Amen.
David?
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up for today's episode, the Monday episode. Folks, we're closing in on our 4-year anniversary. It's only a handful of weeks away, and we're excited to go into year number 5. But so just keep it going, folks. The word is spreading. We're getting more views than ever before, and we thank you for that. And we do appreciate your sharing us and liking us on social and watching us. We look forward to seeing you guys every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. And until Hump Day, keep on ranting.